Welcome back. We are here with the Giving Tuesday Activism Blitz, and we have a live segment. We have had a number of activism projects send in some testimonies. I will share some of that with you shortly here, but first we have a couple guests that I'm going to bring on. We have Maaike Rosendal. So this is Maaike, and Maaike has, she's one of our speakers here at CCBR, and she also speaks internationally. So she's been doing a number of projects this year with her house full of little ones. She's managed to escape and do some talks. Do you want to share a little bit with some of the projects that you've been working on?
Yeah, so I just came back from a trip to the Netherlands, which some people will know is my native country. And I was asked to do a debate there with a Liberal MP. So he's actually the leader of the Democrat 66 party in the Netherlands, which was significant because it was actually the party that put him forward for me to debate him. And also Dutch elections just took place. So a lot of people took interest in this abortion debate, which as far as we know, has never happened before. So it was a really interesting debate. He expressed appreciation for the way it was done, in that it was a debate, at a high level. He said so. It was in depth, but also was done well. So it was civil. Even though we clearly had no appreciation for each other's arguments, we were respectful to each other. There were about 200 people who attended it, but it was also recorded and it was put on YouTube since. And last time I checked, it was what has been watched over 19,000 times. So that was really exciting.
So if you speak Dutch, you can have a listen to that, or if you understand Dutch.
Yeah.
I do not. My heritage is Dutch, but I do not understand it. So
yeah, and it's about 2 hours long, so it's quite a time commitment as well. But obviously enough people have taken the time to watch the entire thing.
Right. And you've made a number of trips to the Netherlands. How often do you usually go?
Yeah, so usually I go 1 to 2 times a year. In November is when they have the Week for Life, which leads up to the March for Life. So that was also the purpose that I was there for, again, recently. And another exciting thing happened actually during that week that I was there. So people who are familiar with our books will know that we have the book Stuck, which is to help people answer tough questions about abortion. And that book has already appeared in German, but it is now also available in Dutch. And so earlier this year, we signed a contract with the Dutch pro-life organization and with a publisher to translate that. I was able to go through that translation in October of this year. And in November, in that Week for Life, it actually came from the publisher. And so we were able to present it at various events. I actually have a copy with me here that I just brought home. So it's in gesprek over abortus. So basically in conversation about abortion. So it's exciting to see our colleague Justina's name on the Dutch copy of this now as well.
It's fantastic to see the reach that people are actually coming to Canadians to
yeah, well,
to
and
learn their
that's really
strategies.
that's really the significance of this, right? That it's not just that we have books in different languages, which is cool, but it's that the arguments that have been street tested in Canada through thousands upon thousands of conversations are now being used in countries around the world, where people are coming to CCBR saying, teach us how to talk to people about abortion. And for many years, I've recommended Stuck to people in Holland. If they can, master English well enough, they can read that book. But now they can read it in their own language as well.
Right. That's super exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing that. And if you get our newsletters, you'll notice Maaike's name on our newsletter. She crafts those for us and does a number of our speaking events. We've been doing some touring events this year. She's been one of the speakers that has spoken on our Faces of Abortion tour. So there are still a few more of those happening yet, particularly more out here west. But do check our website and you can see where some of those tour dates are happening and catch some of those other talks as well.
Well, and I wouldn't be able to write those newsletters if it wasn't for people on the streets doing the activism.
Right.
It's especially the outreach, the activism, and the testimonies that people want to hear, right? That's what we're looking for hearts that are touched and for minds that are changed and for lives that are saved. And so I have the privilege of sharing those stories with our supporters and with anyone else who's interested. But I wouldn't have any stories if it wasn't for the work that's being done on the street. So I always feel very grateful for having that dialogue by sharing the good news that's being done by other people and that's being blessed by God.
Yeah, because we have so many testimonies that are happening just today in one day's worth of activities. Now we do have like all boots on ground on one day, but still that happens throughout the year. And so there's so many of those great stories that we're blessed to be able to share.
Yeah, the biggest challenge probably with writing the newsletter is that there's so much to share and there's only so little space.
Right. I
always am trying to say, but I want this story and I want this story in, and then other people say, but it's also good to have pictures in there, which is true. But that's a good problem to have.
Good problem. That's just like this last newsletter. We were talking just after we sent out the email newsletter. We forgot that we missed sharing about Koyana's international trip as well, which is another great experience where we've been invited overseas to teach our projects.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, oh yeah, right. CCBR was also invited to come to New Zealand. That's huge. But
that is huge.
So much to share that sometimes we don't have the space, or we even forget that that's a really big deal.
Yeah. So that one will make it into the next newsletter in our year-end wrap-up newsletter. We won't miss that. But yeah, we had some great testimonies coming up this year. I actually messaged Maaike when I was preparing the newsletter to go out, like the announcement for this Giving Tuesday event. And I'm like, there's this baby saved testimony, and I know you'll want it for the newsletter, but I got to send it out now.
Yeah, that's a really good one to share. So
yeah. If you haven't caught that yet, it's on our socials. Check it out. If you don't have socials, send us a message. We'd be happy to share with you more. But there was a baby recently that our team got to meet that was saved due to some of our online projects. So that was exciting.
Yeah. And that first picture that we received from that mom through one of our colleagues actually came in during what they call the Week for Life in Holland. So I was able to share that during some of my presentations too, saying if you use this book, if you use these arguments, if you show people what abortion is, these are the results we're seeing. So that was super encouraging.
Right. So exciting. Well, thanks for taking the time out of your evening, Maaike, to share with us. And we look forward to hearing from you more in the next newsletter.
Okay. Thank you, Lorena.
Thanks. And now I have another guest joining us. This is Brittany. And Brittany works with me here in the Calgary office. She's actually probably the colleague I work with the most closely, as she works in administration with me. So she helps process a lot of the donations that come in and update credit cards and do some of that administration stuff. But she also does event coordinating. So she's been quite involved in a couple projects that are coming up here. So I will throw it over to Brittany. Why don't you share with some of the big stuff that's going on now?
Yeah, no, thanks, Loretta. Also, first off, thank you, Loretta, for coordinating all of this stuff for Giving Tuesday. We couldn't reach and impact the pro-life movement quite as much if we didn't have you. But yeah, I guess to briefly touch on the other side of my role, which is more on the event side, we've actually been really building in that area in CCBR as well, where we're having more and more pro-lifers across the country realize the importance of being active and that we can't just be silent and coast along and hope everything goes well. And I always find it so amazing at every event to see pro-lifers catch the vision of CCBR and realize that they can also make a difference in our country. And so just to share a few rough stats from this past year, mainly just Western stats. I don't really have the Eastern stats for this, but through the different presentations and trainings that CCBR has been doing out here in the West, we've actually reached well over 3,000 people through presentations. And of those people, 773 are people who were trained in apologetics during like bigger events such as like church apologetics trainings or campus club trainings, crash courses, things like that. There was another 200 people who were trained in apologetics during our Faces of Abortion tour. So people who came out and basically heard our training presentations, like on the seriousness of abortion, and realized that they also need to be trained on how to have these conversations. So there was 200 people. And then we also offer a lot of like one-on-one training, apologetics workshops. And so different staff members throughout the West will sacrifice time to do these one-on-one trainings, whether it's online or in person. And they've trained over 80 people this year. Yeah, so it's just been amazing seeing how many people are wanting to get our training and realizing that our training will help them make a difference.
That's fantastic. Yeah, we've got that happening, which we'll have all the year-end stats and everything as well in our final newsletter for the year. But these numbers keep climbing as well. Like we still have a couple tour talks out this way this year. If you're in Alberta, particularly around Calgary or around Lethbridge, you probably would have received a newsletter that would have come from Virginia, and that's inviting you to one of our talks there. So if you didn't get that message and you are in Lethbridge or in Calgary, we have a Lethbridge tour talk happening this coming Thursday, which is the 30th. And then Calgary is next week, Friday, which is the 8th. And so we have a couple of those talks. We'd love to see you at those presentations. I believe both Brittany and myself will be at both of those.
I'm definitely aiming on being there. I'm looking forward to it.
So we will be at those presentations. We are not the speakers, but we will be there and would love to meet you at one of those. You can find the information on those at endthekilling.ca/tour. You'll see all the tour dates there that we've done throughout the summer, because we did a whole lot more of them in the summer. But some of our fall ones we're doing in the West here, as we couldn't quite keep up that pace with all the activism projects we were doing with the summer internship.
Yeah.
So
I was just talking with Quiana this afternoon even about these last few tour talks, and she's one of our speakers who's going to be speaking at the tour talks, and she's really looking forward to it, and she says these are probably going to be the best ones they've done yet, so definitely come out.
So yeah, we're definitely looking forward to it. I haven't actually hit enough of the tour talks myself, as I've been a little bit more localized here in Calgary. So I'm definitely looking forward to catching another round of those talks, and I'm extra excited to get to meet some of our supporters who are at those events. Well, thank you so much, Brittany. And Brittany was actually on the ground earlier today. She had joined for the Choice Chain events. And so thank you so much for putting all the hats on today.
No problem.
Okay, take care. So yeah, those are some of the projects that are happening outside of today with the Activism Blitz. Most of today we've been highlighting the activity that goes on the streets, which is a huge part of what we do. But another huge part of what we do is training other people like yourselves to be able to have those effective conversations also. So we do those workshops, we do one-on-one trainings, we can do them in person, we can do them online. And so these are different ways that we can connect with you. We often do group presentations, whether that be in the Netherlands with Maaike, or whether that be more locally here with people like Quiana, that kind of thing. So we'd love to touch base with you on that. Back to our Activism Blitz, I have a few more clips here that I'm going to share with you. Some came in a little bit late, so they're a little bit behind the time, but Ottawa has been going into the evening, so it's not that far behind. And then as well, we've got some clips from Hamilton and from Calgary. And so I'm going to just zip through a series of these testimony videos here, and you can see that the more of the work that's being done today throughout the day for this Activism Blitz.
We are still going strong. We've got some great conversations going on over here with Conrad and Catherine, and it's still chilly, but we're getting lots of views, so it's going well.
Just to give a little bit of context here, that is at the University of Ottawa. So I will continue.
Hey, I just finished Choice Chain at U Ottawa, where we had some really good conversations. Small team, but I had a really impactful conversation with a guy who said that he thought abortion was up to the woman. It was her choice to make, and that men shouldn't have a say in that. Then when I was talking with him, he opened up to me about some miscarriages that women in his life have had in the past, and he said he thinks about those quite often, even though they were years ago. And so I was able to share resources with him for counseling, and by the end of the conversation, he agreed that abortion was never okay, no exceptions. So that was really cool to see. Hey, we are here. I am here with Jabari, and this is Jabari's first door knocking shift, so hopefully it's a really good one. It's still quite chilly here in Stittsville, but we're looking forward to having some great conversations. Do you want to add anything, Jabari?
I'm really excited. This is my first time, and I hope it goes well.
Awesome. We just finished our very chilly door knocking shift, and we think it went pretty well overall. A lot of people didn't really want to talk, but we did talk to a couple of people. One of them was pro-life, and we helped to inform him that abortion was never medically necessary, even in life-threatening situations. So that was cool, and we told him about opportunities to get involved. And we also had a conversation with a lady who fully supported abortion, and she was willing to talk to us, so I found that encouraging. How did you like this shift, Jabari?
It was actually very good for my first time.
Yeah.
It was cold, but we made it through.
And he did really well, so way to go.
Just want to pause there and highlight the Ottawa initiative. That one is one of our newer initiatives. Katrina, I got to know here in Calgary as she's participated in our internship the past couple of years. This past year, she served as a return intern, so she did a lot more touching base with supporters, touching base with people in areas that we were going to be touring, logging some statistics, and as well providing leadership to help coach some of the new interns as well. And so it's great to see her out in Ottawa working with volunteers and training new volunteers out in Ottawa. She's working out there as well with Conrad, who you saw previously in testimony video. And then as well, we have a meal driving truck out there. So we've got a good team who is working out there. In addition to our staff teams, we also have a number of community groups that we work closely with, and they run our projects. So we help provide some support to them and to help grow their projects. And we've had a number of them who have been on the ground with us today. Hamilton is one of those, so I will share with you a couple clips from.
Hi, I'm here at Mohawk College. We were just doing choice change, and I had one conversation with a woman. I asked her, what do you think about abortion? And she said initially that it's an individual decision, that each individual should whatever feeling is best. So I asked her, well, do you believe in human rights? And so she said, yeah, I believe in human rights. I asked her who should have human rights, and she said, well, all people should have human rights. And I asked her, does this include babies? And she said, yeah, this includes a baby. So I told her that abortion, like there's a baby in the womb, and she said, and I asked her, like, should this baby have human rights? And she said, yeah, this baby should have human rights. And I told her that an abortion directly and intentionally kills the child in the womb. And I asked her, would this not constitute a human rights violation? And she agreed, and she said yes, that the baby in the womb should have human rights, and we should not be killing the innocent human beings. So she was convinced that that abortion is wrong. Yeah, so that was great.
So today at Choice Change, I asked a young man what he thought about abortion, and he said that he thought abortion was a woman's choice, especially if the mother would struggle to take care of that child. It'd be okay for her to have an abortion. So I agreed with him that it's definitely a very hard circumstance for her mother to raise a child when choosing poverty, for example. But I asked him to imagine, say there was a mother who was struggling to take care of a 1-year-old. Would it be okay for that mother to kill that 1-year-old? He said, of course not. And I agreed with him, right? We can't kill the 1-year-old, even though the mother might be struggling to take care of that 1-year-old. So then I asked him, what would your difference if you killed your 1-year-old? He thought about it for a second, and he said, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But he said, I mean, I'm just a man.
A little bit more road noise on that one there, but we still pretty sure you can still hear those great testimonies there. For what projects are going on right now, we've actually been having door knocking happening in Calgary. So I have a couple bits from the start of the door knocking there as well. So I will share those with you now.
Hi guys. So I'm Jeff and I'm here with two lovely ladies. We're going to go door knocking in Calgary to bring people the truth about abortion as we get into a late afternoon shift on Giving Tuesday. Thanks for all your support and see you on the other side of our door knocking victories.
Hi, I'm Blaze. I'm just here, a volunteer at CCBR, door knocking with the other volunteers, trying to convince people to become pro-life and also listen and understand them. Yeah, and today was my first choice change, so it was kind of interesting holding a sign on a street corner using AVP, and so yeah, it's been a good day.
Hey, so we just had our first door knocking conversation. We talked to someone who did not support abortion in any circumstances. And it's just very refreshing to hear that. And now we're preparing to go to the next house, hopefully to bring the truth about abortion, whether they meet someone who's fully pro-life or through God's grace will become fully pro-life.
So a little bit more of our activism there. So yeah, it's definitely encouraging when we do meet people who are pro-life in our projects, but also know that we can help equip people. Often those conversations when we do meet people who are pro-life, they're not very active. And so we have the opportunity to invite them to learn more on how to have those conversations and become more active as well. Today is not done yet. We still have projects on the ground. So that the door knocking in Calgary is probably wrapping up about right now, but we've actually had teams out in Niagara who have been out on the streets as well from one of our other community groups, as well as door knocking still happening in Ottawa. So those are still some very active areas. And then of course we have our Vancouver, keeping that last time zone up there. We have the Vancouver team who is going to be doing some door knocking. Mostly in Vancouver, we've had truck driving just due to availability of team members, but we will also have some door knocking happening there as well. And I hope to have some updates from you in the next couple hours here. So the next segment is going to be at 7 Mountain, 9 Eastern, and we'd love to have you join us there. So like we mentioned before, this work, we don't have these testimonies to share with you without your support. The work that we're doing is not possible without your support. We have so many full-time people who are full-time in the pro-life movement, and we couldn't be pro-life, like we couldn't be working full-time like we are without your support. But as well, those who are the volunteers who come in and the trainings that we do to activate and train other pro-lifers to have those effective conversations, whether it be in activism with us or whether that be so that they can be equipped to have conversations with their classmates or their neighbors or their family members who might be considering abortion. Each training is so valuable because you don't know how far it would reach, and it's exponential. So thank you so much for partnering with us. We will join you on another segment yet tonight. The activism is starting to wind down for the day. Most of Ontario is wrapped up, but we still do projects happening out there, but the fundraising has just begun. And so I know we're getting to evening, so more people probably have a little bit more time to view these videos. So please do share with your friends and family, invite them to partner alongside with us so that we can continue to do these projects throughout the year so that we can continue to grow and build a bigger team and network. So thanks again for your support. Our website for donating is endthekilling.ca/donate. Our donation options are listed there. There's a number of different ways that you can give. Again, that's endthekilling.ca/donate. We look forward to talking with you on the next episode.